We are back to Arnold and Choi, and we are on page 95. And we begin talking about particles. Now, the odd thing is that we've switched from Hebrew to physics, and we're talking about atomic particles. Not really. Particles in grammar.
It's going to lead into what one of that's going to be.
I read a pretty neat particle this weekend.
All right, page 95. It seems as that if the designation particle applies to whatever, you don't know what to call it, so you stick it in that category. But this grammar seems to stick everything that's not a noun or a verb into that category for some reason. So, in addition to nouns and verbs, Hebrew syntax employs another category of words often referred to as particles. This is the inclusive term often used for a wide-ranging number of parts of speech. Here we will use it to refer to prepositions, adverbs, conjunctions, and particles of existence and non-existence, and the particles hine and v'hine. So, we start off by talking about prepositions. How do we define a preposition? How do we define a preposition in our Greek syntax class?
Anywhere a mouse can go.
Well, we said squirrel, but mouse worked. All right. Anywhere a squirrel can go, anywhere a mouse can go. All right.
Squirrel better.
Squirrel, yeah, I have mice in my house. Like that. All right. So, in general, prepositions in biblical Hebrew are difficult to categorize because their function in the syntax may be viewed from a variety of perspectives. As relational terms, standing before nouns or noun equivalents, prepositions may be viewed primarily as nominal in orientation and function. On the other hand, most of the Hebrew prepositions have no obvious morphological connection to nouns, and their nature as particles is frequently evident in their function as adverbs or conjunctions. However, a third perspective, the semantic perspective of prepositions, has become increasingly more prominent in modern grammars and is important to consider here. So, similarly to Greek, in Greek you look at the root meaning of the preposition, the case that the preposition is used with, and the noun that the preposition is used with, to determine, that was slick.
That Kurt Buckley is always doing stuff.
Now here we're looking at the meaning of the verb and the preposition itself and the noun and all those things together. Another way of saying look at the context of the preposition to see how it might be used in a particular instance. So look at the verb plus preposition plus the object, which is in the middle of that first paragraph on page 96. Now, you can gain some things by reading through this, certainly, but this is one of those sections of a textbook that really is more suited for reference than it is for, devotional reading or something like that. But just to give you an idea of how the prepositions are working, you can look at the first one, akar or acharei, and see they can be used spatially to mean behind something, in that sense, like behind the tabernacle. It could be used temporally to mean after, behind in the sense of time. Or it can be used metaphorically. He followed, or literally, it is literally he went after. Vayelik Achar. He followed the sins of Jeroboam. So those are the three ways that preposition could be used. So, you should be able to see that preposition in the text, turn here and see the ways in which it's used and figure out how it's being used in the context that you're looking at. Just like we've done with nouns and verbs. the preposition el or ale. And some of the terms that he uses here we've seen before. But it can be used in a terminative kind of way, so it marks movement to or into something. When you come into the land, or it could be used estimatively to express interest or advantage or indifference or disadvantage in something. And often requires for or against in the translation. So, see now, I am for you, I am toward you, favorably disposed toward you, or negatively disposed toward you. It could be used in that way as well. Declarative, somebody said something to or toward somebody else. Perceptual, Yahweh has given heed to your affliction. He's heard toward your affliction. So you can see some of these usages and see how broad it is. This preposition doesn't match an English preposition. Any one English preposition perfectly does it. So, it can be used in a variety of ways. Addition, this is interesting. You shall not marry a woman in addition to her sister. So, a woman to her sister you shall not take. Literally.
Yeah, there were some of these that were kind of a stretch trying to follow. That you read the sections and then the examples Without the book there, saying that's what it is, never get it.
Yeah, it was kind of hard because, we say, well, what does el mean? Well, it means to or toward. And it does, that's a good basic meaning for it, but it isn't exactly to or toward. It's some other things as well.
Puts a little different spin on that Leviticus 18 verse.
Which one?
That you shall not marry a woman to her sister.
You should not marry a woman to her sister.
Which would make a lot of sense.
Either way.
I follow that.
All right, spatial. Abraham buried Sarah, his wife, toward the cave. Well, no, in the cave of the field. But, it's kind of a word picture of, him taking her into the cave. Toward the cave, to the cave, and putting her in the cave. So maybe it emphasizes process a little more. Specification. Therefore, thus says Yahweh concerning the king of Assyria. So you can see Eitzel is used just spatially. He sat down beside the dragon. There could be quite a variety. I mean, you can see with this word el, there's quite a variety with et or ate, which is different than the definite direct object marker. But this that we say means with has a variety of usages. Accompaniment, you and your child with you, your children with you. Possession, behold the silver is with me. Compliment, and he spoke harshly with them. Spatial, near Kadesh, or see there's a place beside me, with me. So you can see that there's a variety of usages. So usually when you get to, you can figure out usually what a preposition is doing in a sentence, even though it's kind of odd compared to the typical definition we give to the preposition. But it's good if you look at a preposition that is being used in a way that's a little bit different, to look it up and see what it has to say about it, see what the idiom is. And so, prepositions are a place where, really, like English and Hebrew, you get a lot of idiom flowing into that. So to take a look at that section, which we'll do when we get to the text today, and see what's going on with the preposition. So I don't want to go through all of these like that because, you can read it as well as I can, and I don't think it's very difficult to understand it. And, I might as well sit here and read the dictionary to you in a way. I can get right one. But are there any questions about these prepositions? It becomes, as he says, in a very real sense, a lexical issue. That is, just a definitional issue. And the definition, as with all words, but maybe more intensely with prepositions, the definitions are determined by context, as well as the root meaning of the word. All right, no questions? Wow. Well, we might as well push on then and open our Bible unto Joshua 1 and verse 10.
Speaking of Joshua, I saw the Esther movie this weekend. It was great.
Oh, yeah?
Took my daughter to see it, and
There's an Esther movie?
yeah, I didn't know what it was. I was looking to take her to a movie, and there was something called One Night with the King, and I looked it up, and it said story of Esther. Then I did some reviews to make sure it wasn't some weird thing. I got on the Focus on the Family and then some other Christian sites to see what they said. And anyway, a lot of stuff was just right out of Scripture. I mean, there was clearly it wasn't.
It wasn't a cartoon, was it?
No, it wasn't. It was PG. It was great because I got to talk about Esther. But because it's me, I get excited about stuff. So Esther. I mean, because that's a wonderful book of the Old Testament. When Esther, it doesn't hinge on Esther. It's just that, in some sense, I guess it does though, because potentially without Esther, Haman would have, the death of all the Jews that were there and Persia. Well, anyway, it's good.
Wow. Yeah, well, that's a good recommendation. Let's see. Looks like a user process of elimination. This looks like a lawyer's signature.
Did I sign it somewhere? Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I wasn't even paying attention. I apologize.
It's all right. So what did you get? 100?
Pardon?
You got 100?
Yeah. I'm back in the swing.
Nice.
Right?
Nice.
Right, baby.
All right. Yeah, you did get 100, didn't you? All right. Well, Sean, why don't you take a look at verse 10 and work us through that, baby.
Okay. I can't get this far too.
It's not hot in here tonight, is it?
Okay. 10. So, Joshua. Watch, guard me, and the people say, Itsu, I don't know.
Hang on a second now. Let's try to deal with it piece by piece.
Okay.
What do you think the vav is?
That's probably what's the other word you call it? Something with a P. I get conversive vav, but
Yeah, preterite.
preterite. That's it. Preterite.
I mean, that preterite would refer to the whole verb and is in that tense, but yeah, it's evolved preterite vav, you could call it. All right, so we can pull that off. In that case, then, what do you think the yod is? At this point, we can just make a good guess at what the yod is.
Performative.
Okay, so it's a preferred. What we're trying to do now is get to the vocabulary form, right? But, basically we've parsed it. If it's a preterite, and if that's a performative, it's going to be a 3ms. So now I'm already thinking, okay, Yehoshua was probably the subject, right?
Well, you said 3ms?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
All right, so I have from the root sade and probably a vav from the root.
Right.
So do I know any words that have a sade and a vav?
Oh, yeah, you do. We do. Command or something like that. That's it.
All right. So, and that's what it is, and it's from Sava.
Right.
So it's a Cal preterite, 3MS from Sava.
So Joshua commanded,
Good.
and then it's a direct object marker, the 8.
Mhm.
So Shemiri, like Shemar is a verb, watch or keep or.
Yeah, but that's a Tate.
Oh, Shatir. Oh. Shatar. Sharad is minister. That's not that. Official?
Mm-hmm.
The official.
What's the ending there? The A ending, tell you.
It's a construct, feminine, plural. For
Close.
plural.
Construct, plural.
It's a construct, plural. And isn't Seriota a feminine construct? It's a masculine construct.
Because a feminine construct in the plural
is with a
it
top.
changes in the singular. The masculine changes in the plural, and the feminine changes in the singular.
So it's going to be okay. So go back here, and Joshua commanded the official of the people to speak. He charged the official of the people to speak.
Well,
Or more.
I mean, it could be that, but in the context it's probably that.
Okay.
Lemur, you're right. What did you translate that like what?
But it could be Amor is Amorite as well, but Amorites.
Well, no. It's just from Amar to speak. How would you parse it?
Okay, I would say it's an infinitive.
Mm-hmm.
The Lamed is.
So it's going to be an infinitive construct because it's got the long on. So Cal infinitive construct. Form you see all over the place. All over the place in narrative. Okay, and it's actually a repetition of the concept. Joshua commanded the officials of the people, saying. It's a little bit like you see in the New Testament. And Jesus answered and said.
So when it's an infinitive, but it's not an infinitive then.
Yes, it is.
And saying is an infinitive?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's how we're going to translate it. So let's see.
So it's an infinitive construct. So you said it's an infinitive construct translated saying.
Yeah. Well, let's look at. Let's just look at. Why don't you go ahead and work on verse 11, and we'll come back and see. Why don't you do verse 11?
Okay. So go ahead and do verse 11 now.
Well, yeah, keep doing verse 11, and we'll not the whole thing, but we'll see. Because when you translate verse 11, you can see that can't be commanded them to say. Well.
Okay, so they pass over or pass through Karev. Because I was going to go Parker, but it's not in. Pass through the east. No.
Karev. Anybody help me?
Inward. They pass through. They passed over the. They passed.
Okay, wait a minute. Let's look at Ivru for a second.
Ivru.
Okay, that's from what? Avar, right?
Avar.
What's going on there?
Okay. It's going to be with the ending 3CP, but there's no performative. Could be Joseph, maybe? No, take a look. Could be an imperative.
Yeah, there you go.
Because it's got the Shiva.
Mm-hmm.
So, you pass through into the inward parts or womb or belly
in the midst
of the Machana and
what's that mean?
Well, Hine is behold. That's not the name has a dogish in there, but it's because it's is that it?
Dogish is what? The hay. Was it the interrogative hay that? No, it's not interrogative. Pardon? The article. Definite article. That's how I spell definite article.
Okay.
And Sprite help you?
No, I was looking. The words I know it helps me with.
After the main.
Okay, Shamar. That's not it.
Can we help you?
The
Camp. Okay, so pass through in the midst of the camp.
and commanded the people, saying,
No, that's kind of interesting. Sabu right there.
yeah, I saw that, the two vus at the end there.
The middle one's not assured.
And the reason
Why is there a dogish in that middle of all?
I think it's a really small hay, isn't it? Is it a really small hay?
No. It's Pio. If I'm not mistaken. Remember Pio had a dogish in the second root letter? And Pio has a pata, or the first root letter, in the imperative. Or, well, imperative or imperfect. We don't have an imperfect performative. So we have an imperfect spelling without the performative, which means that it's another imperative. Same ending as the one before, to MP. So
it's almost like there's a lot of my emotion, because the PL's, extra energy, so the commanding, I don't know what the PL version of, to give a command would be, but it's a shout or order, vehemently.
So pass over in the midst of the camp and command
the people, and I'll use the same infinitive construct, but saying.
Okay, so command the people saying.
Command the people.
So, very typical in narrative. So now let's look at this and see if we can find a use of Lamed that describes its use in this passage. Page 110.
Okay. And there's a lot for a lot of us. Purpose paired with an infinitive form, the preposition functions to show purpose. But it's not really showing purpose.
I remember talking about this back in the infinitive construct section.
We may have to go back to there.
Paired with an infinitive form, the preposition functions to show purpose.
What about agent?
Who's the agent?
God's always the agent. That's Sunday school answer.
Reflexive. Common verse emotion or is.
Ooh, Kim found it.
What'd she get?
Reflexive says this use is especially common with verbs of motion or with imperatives. Page 114.
Yeah.
Not seeing it in there.
Well, I don't think so.
And these are kind of commands, and that